Got a new bow sight today, and I'm going to sight it in out here, and I thought it'd be a great time to make a video about how to properly sight in your bow sight. You may be doing it wrong. I know I was at one point in time. Over the years, I've kind of racked up this knowledge from other people that are, archery experts, more or less. All this stuff is just stuff I've heard and worked for me through trial and error and listening to these experts on how to properly sight in your bow. So it's going to run through exactly what I do to sight in my bow, and hopefully this helps you whenever you're working on your bow and getting it perfectly sighted in. So the first step that I like to do is I want to get my left and rights on. I don't really pay too much attention to my pins quite yet. And to get your left and right on, what I like to do is I like to shoot at a vertical line on my target that is perfectly square, up and down wise. I took a level and made that line you can see on the target there with a level, so I know that it's a perfect straight up and down line. And we're just going to start here by shooting that line. Okay, we're a grunt left, so I'm going to follow that arrow, move my sight a little bit left. Okay, left and right is pretty much perfect now. Once you have your left and right sighted in on the line, I like to go back to my 40-yard pin and sight in. I start at 40, then go to 30, and then go to 20. Most people will start at 20 and work their way back, and you don't want to do that. The reason you don't want to do that is because it can mess up your gaps between 20 and 30 yards. Let me explain. Your pin is typically at 10 and 20 yards, your pin's going to be pretty much the same. So you get up to 20 and you sight in your pin at 20, and you think it's good because it's already pretty close. And what actually happens is you may accidentally have a 10-yard pin that you're using at 20 yards because it's the same. That sounds like it'd be okay, but in reality then your 20 to 30 yard gap between your 20 and 30 yard pin is going to be larger, and that can throw off your, like say you're shooting a deer at 26 yards, it can throw off your holdover, if that makes sense. When in reality, halfway between your 20 and 30 yard pin should be close to your 25 yards, but it's not, because your pin is actually sighted in for 10 yards, and your drop significantly starts after 20 yards, sometimes after 30 yards. So to get a true 20-yard pin, I like to start at 40, then 30, and then 20, and that should get you a much closer pin gap for judging those kind of in-between distances. Hope that makes sense. So let's get this 40-yard pin sighted in. We are way low at 40. All right. That's pretty good right there. Don't click off this video, because I have a really good tip for you at the end that I actually learned from Levi Morgan via the YouTube channel, Bow Life. I've never actually met Levi Morgan. It's not like I'm buddies with him or anything. Well, that was a good guess. That was a bad shot. Punched that one real bad. Alright, I'm gonna go look at those now. 30 yard is dead on now. Now we go up to 20 and finish off the 20, 30, and 40. Okay, 20 is on. That's how easy it is. So I now know for sure that my 40, 30, 20 are true. Now I'm just gonna go up to like 8 yards and see where my 20-yard pin hits, and that's just for my educational purposes. Yours may hit different than this, but I like to double check, because sometimes you get a shot this close, I just shoot deer target for this stuff. Put my 20 right where I want it to hit, see what happens. Yeah, it essentially is hit right behind the pin. Now, shoot even closer here, maybe 4 or 5 yards. Yep, right behind the pin. All right, now we got to get 50 and 60 sided in. We'll be good to go. Okay, double check my yardage here. 51. Okay. 50. Okay. 50 is a grunt low right now. When you get this far back, little bitty changes make a pretty big difference. I didn't move it enough. Boom. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my sight and how I have it set up, because I think it could help you guys if you're shooting a fixed pin system. When I have a fixed pin, I like to have 5 pins, 20 to 60, and I like my coloring on my pins to be the middle pin, which would be my 3rd pin, to be an off color, and the rest of my pins to be the same color. So I have green, green, red, green, green. And then why I like that is I like to have a reference. So some people worry about like getting confused when you have a lot of pins in your scope. Like 5 pins is quite a few pins. But I know with that system that the red is 40, middle is red, it's 40, go up to 30, 20, down to 50, 60. So there's a little bit less, for me, guesswork on which pins are which. Where if you have like a, you know, green, yellow, red, blue, orange, sometimes that can get a little bit confusing because there's too much going on. Whereas if you have just 2 colors, your middle one's a reference to whatever your middle yardage is, it can be anything, and the other 2 are kind of based on the same exact color, but you're just gapping your pins instead of thinking about which color is which. So that may help you. A lot of sights are not set up that way. You have to like custom order them. This is a sword sight, if you're wondering. It's a Twilight Hunter. But I used to shoot this sight way back in the day, and I kind of looked them up to see if they were still around, and they were. It used to be one of my favorite sights, so I reordered one. It's a good sight. All right, everybody. I hope these tips helped you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow on another vlog.